In August, state-controlled CCTV reported an amphibious brigade from the 73rd Army stationed in Xiamen, which directly faces Taiwan across the strait, used a 16,000-ton civilian ship to transport troops, weapons, vehicles, and other equipment in a military exercise. Is the CCP preparing to attack Taiwan? Has corruption impacted its military capability? And how does CCP's infiltration and espionage pose a threat to Taiwan? Hi everyone, welcome to Lei's Real Talk. I'm Lei. Regarding whether the CCP will attack Taiwan, experts have different opinions. Lu Lishi, a former instructor at Taiwan's Naval Academy, told South China Morning Post that the use of large civilian vessels suggested the Chinese army was conducting preparedness training for an attack on Taiwan. Steve Xia, a former Chinese military development technical manager, told Epoch Times that CCP propaganda has remained relatively low-key in its publicity about Taiwan, which is abnormal and worrisome. However, Li Zhenxiu, a military expert at the National Policy Research Foundation of Taiwan, believes that the CCP won't attack Taiwan for two reasons. The first is the concern of stability. He said, what the CCP is most concerned about is the regime's stability. Once it goes to war with the United States, the CCP worries its leader will step down and the regime will collapse if it loses the war. The second concern is that the CCP's military, the People's Liberation Army or PLA, cannot compete with the American military forces. Even though China has the world's largest military, corruption and communist ideology might have taken a toll on the PLA. Let's take a glimpse at some of the problems by digging into the CCP's own media reports. A recent episode of a military program on CCTV inadvertently revealed a problem with the PLA's fighter jets. The program host went to a military base and spoke about the J-10B fighter jet, which was developed by China using Israeli technology. The host spoke with a maintenance staff about cleaning the aircraft. Let's take a look.
我们就用这个，就像正常的擦就行。正常擦玻璃这么擦是吧？这个不能像我们这平常洗车似的，拿那个水咔一冲，不行。对，如果水渗到这个蒙皮里面，下面都是机件，都是这个金属的，容易生锈。而且平时我们都是非常注意这个防雨防潮。那确实，那就只能是靠我们一点一点去擦这些上面的东西。
The video got many Chinese netizens ask, if this fighter jet can be washed by water, can it fly in the rain? One expert showed in his YouTube video how Americans wash their fighter jets. He said the Chinese jet has either a substandard coating problem or a structural design issue that leaves big gaps between the parts, or else the sealing process wasn't done right. And that probably explains why Chinese fighter jets stopped flying for 13 consecutive days in July, when the Taiwan Strait was inundated with rain. On June 24th, the Chinese military website published an article titled, "A regiment explores to resolve technical and tactical problems in high-altitude training." The report described a battlefield exercise conducted by a tank regiment of the Xinjiang military region during the summer. Step on the brakes, shift gears, release the clutch, and blow the accelerator. Thick smoke came out of the exhaust pipes, but the tank remained motionless. Gao Jie, the soldier driving the tank, shifted gears again and blasted the throttle to the end. The engine of the tank unexpectedly stopped and went on strike. It turned out that the reason the tank suddenly died was that it went up a steep slope at an altitude of 5,000 meters or about 16,000 feet. The article blamed the engine failure on the terrain. It said the choice of terrain was not scientific and it didn't take into consideration the extreme angle that the tank had to climb. This is an important reason for the failure of the exercise. On October 23, 2020, a Chinese military paper published an article in praise of Zhu Konghao, a soldier who helped his team win a silver medal in a tank biathlon competition after fainting from possible carbon monoxide poisoning. This is what the report reads. Listen carefully. Soldier Zhu Konghao suddenly collapsed straight onto the ground at his shooting position when preparing for the final round of anti-aircraft machine gun shooting. It turned out that the firing cabin was narrow, the tank booster fan wasn't working, and the time Zhu spent searching for the target on the alternate track was too long. He inhaled too much carbon monoxide. But Zhu said, "It's a minor injury. I absolutely won't leave the line of fire." Zhu was pale and had difficulty breathing. The report said that the soldier eventually passed out and was hospitalized. This incident revealed several problems. The first was the equipment malfunction. The broken fan, which caused the lack of ventilation, seemed to have caused the soldier's carbon monoxide poisoning. Secondly, the soldier either lacked proper training or was having health issues because he seemed a little weak. I think corruption might significantly limit PLA's capability. Instead of spending money on personnel training and military equipment, the money might have gone somewhere else. In addition, in the communist Great Leap Forward culture, basic training, craftsmanship, attention to detail, and patience have become obsolete. It's hard to believe the made in China poor quality is not haunting the CCP's military. But don't ever underestimate the CCP and PLA. Although it might not win a war on the battlefield, it has won using deceptive means. The biggest threat to Taiwan is not the communist regime's military forces, but its infiltration and espionage activities. This hidden danger has become like an impending heart attack for Taiwan's national defense. This past July, news broke out that Zhang Zeping, the former Deputy Defense Minister and General of Taiwan's Air Force, was suspected of having long-term contacts with CCP spies, starting as early as 2015. Zhang not only dined and traveled with a Hong Kong businessman named Xie, but also accepted gifts from him. Xie is an undercover special agent of the Guangzhou branch of the CCP's Central Military Commission. When the news broke, Zhang Zeping was the commander of the Air Force operational headquarters and the #1 general defending Taiwan against the CCP's potential invasion. He was going to be promoted to Chief of Staff later this year. After the news came out, he was demoted to be the head of Taiwan National Defense University. Over the years, we've seen the CCP infiltration into Taiwan's military become more widespread. In 2004, Major General Luo Xianze, director of the Communications and Electronic Information Division of the Army Command, was caught in a honey trap and became a CCP spy. He was sentenced to life in prison in 2012. In 2016, 32 retired generals from Taiwan, with a total of 53 stars, went to Beijing to listen to Xi Jinping speak. In 2017, Taiwan's retired Lieutenant General and former Deputy Commander of the Air Force, Li Guifa, openly discussed Taiwan's naval affairs with a Shanghai media outlet. In 2021, 4 retired senior military officers, including former Major General Yue Zongzhi of the Military Intelligence Bureau, were prosecuted on suspicion of serving as a CCP spy. According to former Deputy Air Force Commander Zhang Yanting, the CCP agents focused on top retired military officers and used them as the intermediary to approach active duty officers. They take time to build trust and sometimes make friends with their spouse. They study younger officers who will be promoted to find their weaknesses. Money and women are often what they use to entrap their subjects. I don't think Taiwan is the CCP's only target. I'm sure it has targeted the U.S. military with espionage and subversive activities. By the way, the honey trap is the most common tactic used against the Westerners. You can watch my previous 2 videos on that topic. Please subscribe and like my video. Thank you for watching and stay tuned.